Episode 192, the rising value of real estate agents. Is that a myth or reality? We're going to get started right now. All right, episode 192. Today we're talking about the rising value of real estate agents. Is this a myth or reality right now? And look, today's show is brought to you by our favorite sponsors, Mortgage Mike. You go to Mortgage Mike. It's mmgloans.com is his new website, mmgloans.com. That is mortgagemikegrouploans.com. If you're looking for that best rate, if you're looking for someone who can close on time, and you're looking for someone who has that big old stamp that just says Mortgage Mike stamp of approval, then you need to go to talk to Mortgage Mike, mmgloans.com. And then when you're writing up that contract, or maybe you already own a home, maybe you own a couple, and you're renting them out, you need to get a warranty on that.
Even if you're not renting them out.
No, just warranty everything.
Yeah.
And you need to do that with Armadillo Home Warranty with Theron Smith. He'll warranty anything. You got it. He's got the warranty for it. Armadillo.1/Tor or /Tor, T-O-R-E. I keep saying backslash.
I've been doing
slash
here's
or
the
forward
thing.
slash.
Here's the
It's one of the slashes.
You already know what you're doing. My wife corrects me on this a lot. She's like, you don't, it's /. And I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Okay.
You know what?
Yeah.
We have a warranty for that. We have a warranty for our words. And that's because Theron Smith has warranted everything up in this joint. Armadillo.1/Tor, T-O-R-E. That's right. And then let's get you over to the best property manager, Dana Wynn. She's going to manage your life. She's going to manage your rentals, your money. You name it, she's got it. HomeWardDFW.com. if you're looking for that Dallas-Fort Worth property management company. So, all right, episode 192.
Tor Studios.
Oh, yeah, Tor Studios. Thank you. Jesse, you got to do better on that and tell me. Tor Studios, because...
He doesn't have a mic today.
Yeah, he doesn't have a mic because our special guest took it. Tor Studios, go to torstudios.com. Get with Jesse Showalter. He will make you look good. He'll make you sound good.
He'll make you feel good.
Look, when you feel good... When you look good, you feel good.
And you sound good.
But you have to look good in order to feel good first.
Yep.
Ooh. Yeah.
True story.
You know, our guests shouldn't be allowed to speak unless we ask them questions.
You ruined the surprise.
That's right. That's right. We have David Bintnick here.
Thanks, Nick, for having me.
That's right.
Appreciate you.
That's right. That's right. And look, I wanted to have David on one. He had a record year last year, just having a great year this year. In fact, you'll probably break last year's record in terms of what you did production-wise, what you did units-wise.
New PR.
That's right.
That's right,
so what we're hearing right now is, as we, Brian, you're probably doing that. Kelderman, you probably have noticed this when we're talking to real estate agents, is that their business is down, right? And they don't know where to go find anymore, but it's out there. I mean, buyers are literally texting and saying, hey, if we could figure this payment out, I know rates are moving in the wrong direction. Prices are moving in the wrong direction because prices are still actually going up in a lot of places. They just don't. These agents are tired. They don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to find those motivated buyers, and they don't really know how to structure a deal because they got in during COVID, and you didn't have to figure out how to structure a deal because you could throw anything at the wall, and it was going to stick.
Or it would completely fall off because somebody else
Yeah.
threw another one over $100,000 over yours.
Yeah, exactly. And then what you would do is tell your buyers to say, all right, next time when we go on that next house, you're going to throw $300,000 over, and it's going to suck for you right now, but don't worry, it's all going to be good when you get in that house, and you're $300,000 poor, cash poor.
Cash poor. But if you just live there for 30 years.
Exactly.
I've said this for a long time. I think we've talked about it. Like there's certain phases of real estate that are just exhausting in general, right? Like learning how to get somebody to agree to even let you come over is a whole huge big chunk of your career.
Yeah.
And then learning how to agree to get them to say, yes, you're smart enough for me to work with is another chunk of your career. And then learning how to get that under contract into closing is another chunk of your career. And the thing is, if you do the lead generation at a high enough level to get people to say yes to you, that's an exhausting endeavor to begin with. And then you walk into their living room and don't know what to say and get your ass kicked. The problem solving ability of agents right now is where there's a huge, huge gap. And I think where some agents are feeling the pinch and other agents who are great at solving those problems are making some hay in a market that is, going to benefit you later.
I think that's like the perfect way to describe this market. We talked about this a long time ago, like seeing this coming, like the skillionaire, market and stuff. And I think we're finally seeing it like really hit, like make landfall, if you will, right? Is like people eventually get bored of being afraid, or they get bored of thinking the world's going to end, right? So like where there was a period of inactivity for a while and lower amount of deals and stuff, nationwide, that's starting to kind of ease itself.
They're on your side.
And yeah, well, business is starting to pick up a little bit for people that know how to solve problems, because people are tired of being afraid and not doing any deals at all. But now they're just way more cognizant of the questions they need to ask and the problems they need to solve. And so if you're lead generating and you're not able to actually solve those problems or answer real questions or like really be a skillful agent, then it's very tough out there right now.
And
the consumer's getting smarter.
I know I know you're comfortable doing this, but if you're not comfortable having tough conversations with people, that's the other thing too. Is Jesse was there when I set the appointment. 15 minutes before the show started, I had to call clients. We had an offer on a property. It was $50,000 under asking price. We talked about why that may be. They were totally cool with our counter offer, and we're probably going to be able to get a deal done, right? When normally, if you were an agent who just went in there with some kind of emotions or like didn't understand how to have that conversation, just being like, look, they're $50,000 under our asking. I don't know why they're coming in that much under.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous. And like agents do that shit. Agents will go in and get in the emotional pig pen with their clients.
They try to just
and
match
it's just
their emotions,
terrible, dude.
Yeah. So let's go on. Let's go on this. Let's go back to 2020. Let's go back to the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and what were we fighting back then? If we remember what our shows were talking about, we were talking about iBuyers, right?
Yep.
And iBuyers were taking a percentage of the opportunity or at bats away.
It was like 15% nationwide at one point, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
crazy.
That number's got to be way lower now.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
guys got rocked pretty hard recently.
Yeah, so we were talking about how technology and these iBuyer companies were going to come in and really disrupt our industry. And then, and then COVID hit, right? And then for about a month and a half, at least here in Texas, we were trying to navigate what COVID real estate market was going to look like. Is it
A lot of
completely
virtual
dead?
open houses.
Yeah, virtual open houses. Are we allowed to go places? Are we not? Are we essential? Are we not essential? That was up for debate. And then all of a sudden, what happened? The market soared. And, during that time, our stock value as real estate agents soared because we were helping navigate that change in that marketplace. Then inventory levels dropped, bidding wars were happening, and then you get through the end of 2020 and the beginning of 21, the stock value of an agent was just out the window. There was no value because it was, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, do you have cash? Because you have to go $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 over asking price. There's no strategy here, by the way.
Yeah.
We're talking to listing agents. Listing agents don't even have
the amount of cash people had when all of a sudden the pandemic
It was
hit.
shocking.
How much fucking cash
Did you ever, see those,
people
did
keep
you ever
around?
see those memes where he's like, hey, here's a blank offer. He's like, you send me a blank offer for my client.
Yeah.
Fill it out.
But that's how it was, right?
Yeah,
and so
100%.
there was zero strategy, even on the listing agent side. You're going and running on a listing appointment, and they're like, "Oh, I want $1 million," but you're like, "Oh, the comps last 90 days show it's only worth 200,000." But they're like, well, let's just try it anyway, and then they get it for $1.2 million. It goes $200,000 over asking price. There was just no strategy.
Yeah.
And so, the value of our expertise and us solving problems were really, really much lower.
You know what I found really difficult in that stage of market? Because where the value came in was an area where I typically struggle. All of a sudden, it was understanding percentages of loans and interest rates and framing up, like especially when interest rates bounced back up last May, right? It was all of a sudden now understanding 2-1 buy downs. Being able to, during the hottest part of the market, was being able to explain to clients how ribbon and those types of things could benefit them, how it was in their best interest to pay 1.5% half over to get these cash offers. Like there were so many things that had never existed before that I was just like, I don't understand how all of this fits together to help my clients the most. And I found myself retreating in the second half of that crazy market because it was so difficult to get people under contract. It was so impossible to take listings because everybody was discounting from whatever your industry norm is in your area, right? So like you had to go to the basement to grab listings, right? And then the buyers, if like you said, a lot of people had cash, but a lot of people didn't.
Yeah,
and they were just having to write in good amounts of cash. They'd have 30 or 40 grand, and it didn't even move the needle at all. I hated that so much.
And they were cashing out of their investment funds, right?
That's what it was. People were like, liquidate your pension.
I was giving people not advice, but I would
always go up.
I was not giving people advice, but I was definitely having conversations with people that was above my pay grade. They're like, well, what should we do? Should we take money out of our 401k? I was like, man, I can't sit here and like in good conscience take my high school educated ass and tell you that you should be yanking 100 grand out of your 401k. Like you need to talk to your financial guy, and oh, by the way, offers are due at 5.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever has anybody seen the movie The Graduate?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a scene at the end of The Graduate. Do you remember they get married and they run out of the church and they're all happy and they get in the car and they drive off, and the movie ends with like Dustin Hoffman's mouth just kind of like drooping, like he just realized like, oh no, I just like actually married this girl. And like right, there was a moment during that whole thing. We sold a property that had expired the year before at like $750,000.
I forgot about this one.
And then we sold it for like $1.4 million.
So we put it on the market at 950.
Yes.
It's
and I
stupid.
remember talking about it in the meeting, and I was like, yeah, this is crazy. And then that was like the moment where like I had that moment of realization. I was like, this could get really bad.
Yeah.
I was just like, I think the party's going to be over.
That listing was also one of 2 bright moments for Centered Staging, the staging company. Brian and I tried to start because we took that listing based off the fact that we put 15 G's worth of furniture in it for free, and we used it to take another $1 million listing. And then thank you to Peggy Force, she sold all of it and got us out relatively harm-free.
They're not all home runs.
Yeah, but think of this. So you're going through that, and that was an exhausting time. And if you're I'm going to bring something back a little old school. If you're watching this live right now, just talk about how was it exhausting? Did you love that market? Are you liking this market? Where's your frustrations right now? And be sure to go in our Facebook group, the only real estate group worth being a part of. And if you're watching or listening on YouTube or on one of the podcast platforms, leave us a review. But as we go into 21. Or is it 22? When 22 hit our rates, that's when rates went up, right?
In May.
May of 22.
May of 22 is where it started.
20, yeah. So rates go up, all of a sudden the market stops. And you've got inflation going out of control, you've got interest rates going out of control, where we think we're in a recession, maybe we are in a recession, we've already been in a recession for a long time and no one's told us. There's been all just this talk. And then all of a sudden it just stops, and all these agents are like, "I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do." Even the people that've been in it 20 years, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Yeah. And the way that I saw it is this was our opportunity to take back as agents, to take back the value in what we do.
The ability to educate is what the huge swing and miss was by real estate agents at that time, because we talked about it on some episode, and how many agents got so emotionally involved, and like we're telling their clients, it's a terrible time to buy. Like you shouldn't buy.
Yeah, we talked about that.
You're advising them based off your comfort level with this. Like there's no way that's like the possible answer, right? You know what I mean? And I think that's what a lot of agents missed out on, was the opportunity to educate their buyers why it may still be a decent time for them.
Well, also, by the way, a year later, you're flat out wrong. Okay, so let's take North Texas, for example. You had up to about a 12% dip in home prices at the trough since last May, and then they've rebounded, and now they're back positive from where they were.
By the way,
so if you were advising people not to buy houses, you're now in the red if you didn't buy.
By the way, median sales price climbs to $426 for only second time in U.S. history. Yeah. This was written today in Inman, so 1024. So this massive price drop.
Real estate agents complicate things so much. Here's the
people think agents are out there inflating commissions. They're actually not.
They're so not.
Agents are out there bricking most of the time. Really I will tell you that. Not the majority of homes, but just the sheer volume of agents who chuck up bricks is astronomical. I promise. They're not driving the market forward.
Smarter than we need to be. There's a lot of things you need to be smart at to negotiate a real estate contract and a deal, and like make a buyer and seller find mutual ground. But you don't need to be smart on when to buy a home. That's not the value you bring as real estate agents. This is the only answer that you'll ever need. Do you want a home?
Yes.
And can you afford what you're going to pay monthly, right, for your mortgage?
Yes.
If those things are true, now is a good time to buy a home.
Oh,
there's not any
sign me up.
other thing. Like there's just
Yeah.
you're just compete. Here's the thing. You are then otherwise it's the same people that are just like trying to day trade after reading one book, right? Like you're trading against billions of robots that are smarter than you and get smarter every day. You work a 9 to 5 as a Starbucks GM, and then you're trying to day trade in the mornings on the side. Like I'm not saying you can't make money doing that, but you have got to be a whole cut above that, right?
I think it's just you got to find their motivation why
Yeah.
they want to buy, right? Like, if
100%.
they're looking for like a quick ROI, then let's take a look at exactly why they're looking to buy. Like if they're looking to buy for their family and stay in there for 5 to 10 years, it's always a great time to purchase.
Let's
100%.
let's talk about that, David. Is you were on and I overheard it because we stayed at the lake house last night, right? So this morning David's on
Just you guys?
Just
us, yeah.
we don't kiss and tell.
And David this morning gets up and look, the more that you plug in, the more that you pour into yourself education wise, the more that you're going to be better to educate your potential and future clients. And so this morning, David's on a role play group, for scripting and calling and talking to for sale by owners. And I'm listening to some of these role play calls, and I'm just it's cringe worthy because some of these the way these calls are going. I'm like, guys, I would yell at you. I would hang up. I would want to drive over there just to beat you up because of how bad this call is.
I hope
Inflict violence upon
I hope
you.
whoever was on that call is not listening to this podcast.
Yeah, right.
There was multiple
There's
people.
like two other people on the call. They're both listening. And
There was multiple people.
Plot twist.
There
It was the other
twist.
person,
It was
don't
just
worry.
me.
Yeah, and the main point is like number one is we should always when it comes to helping potential clients is find what the real motivation is, because you can't advise someone until you know the reason why they're going to take action.
I mean, sometimes on scripting or sometimes when I'm on a live call, like that's my last Hail Mary. Like if they're trying to control the conversation, you make calls too, right? Like you get these people who are trying to control the conversation, and if I don't have any more ammunition, I'm like, hey, well, why are you selling in the first place? Right? It always comes back to motivation, right? Like that's a question that needs to be asked either in the beginning or just like whenever you can, honestly.
So as we go through this now, can we see AI or technology companies or iBuyer companies solving this problem that we have in this marketplace at this moment of you've got buyers out there, which I can show you text messages of buyers that say, I want to buy a home, but the market and the market's moving in the wrong direction and interest rates are moving in the wrong direction. Do we see AI coming in and really solving that problem to connect with them through good storytelling and showing them that now is actually a good time for them to buy? It's just how you structure the deal flow together.
I think AI in its current format allows people to educate people at a much higher level, right? Like you can go on and ask AI a whole lot of questions and educate yourself in a way that will allow you to. You can ask AI, hey, say this in a way that a 5-year-old would understand it, or like you can kind of get pretty granular with it. So I think it's going to educate people to educate more if agents and lenders and all those people take action. I do think there's an opportunity. Like the AI video stuff right now, I've seen it. It's choppy and it still looks a little robotic. But if you do start cleaning up the video side of the message for the people who gather information from the internet, right? Like kids are on YouTube all day, every day, right? Like we got 4 boys in the house. They are all on YouTube. They ain't on anything else, right? And so if you could figure out a way to bring information to people in the space they're at in quick sound bites to where it's not like the normal just bullshit real estate lender stuff that we all see all the time, I think that's where AI is going to be super, super effective. The way it looks right now, right?
The thing about just the video side, this is not necessarily real estate related, but like, you guys remember, go watch like a CGI movie from 2005.
Do we have enough tape on us? Do we have enough tape on us to make our own stuff?
Sure.
Like, could we just take a bunch of episodes, dump them into something, and be like, make up an episode of me just talking about the most random shit?
Can we do that, Jesse?
We need to find, if anybody knows this, drop a link in. Like, where would you even begin?
How did they make
to
the Rogan
do that?
one?
How'd they make the Joe Rogan one?
There's just got to be some high-level program that somebody can feed all that into, because it's got to generate him, the way his mouth moves.
How do we know
the
that this isn't
words.
AI right now that
it
they're
could be.
listening to?
Oh, man.
It could be.
Would AI even question itself if it's AI?
It's probably not
content
AIS
produced?
because I don't think we've cussed it all this episode. And if AI was doing a real episode of ours, there would be way more cuss words in it.
Or maybe it's picked up that we've cursed less on
Less
towards the
recently.
towards as we get closer to 200.
It's watching us grow up in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it would see how in the beginning our voices were pitched higher. Now we're back. And our normal voices are
Normal
just
voices.
lower. And we're not yelling at each other. So, but again, I see this, and I was listening to a call that David actually had with a client, a potential client today, and this guy, they jumped on Zoom, and this guy broke out his spreadsheet, and he's trying to finagle numbers when it comes. It's a sell-buy scenario, and he's trying to say, if we do the commission here and the commission here, and down here we move some numbers around, and for most agents, they wouldn't even know what was going on. In fact, at first, Dave was like, "What the heck's going on?"
I was like, yeah, send it to me. Like, let's take a look at it. Like, I got a headache looking at it, man.
Yeah. And then at the end of it, as we're listening, I don't think a lot of agents would do this. Number one is because I think they're scared to question things. Right, we did on our weekly sales meeting. We talked about asking good to great questions.
They're scared. Like, we have this unreasonable, emotionally regressive fear of like they're gonna get mad at us.
Yeah,
If
and then
like,
we're not going to
ask-
get the business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if we ask too many questions.
But guess what? You didn't have the business in the first place.
That's
There's
usually
nothing
what
to
ends
lose,
up
yeah, nothing to
losing
lose,
the
yeah.
business is not asking questions.
Yeah. And so at the end of the call, David's like, "Look, what are you trying to do?" The guy, it was like 45 minutes, and I'm like, God, this guy's just moving. I know what he's trying to do, by the way. I knew it in the very beginning. But David finally asked, "What are you trying to do?" And he finally busted.
After 45 minutes of explanation, I still didn't get it.
Yeah. And basically,
I wouldn't have either, bro.
basically
What are
the
you
guy
trying to
was
do?
trying to move so many commission rates around that it's like, look, bro, like at the end of the day, what's the ultimate goal? To sell for the best price possible so that you can get into this home at the price that you're willing to pay so that we can still hopefully make it work for that seller. That's it, right? Yeah. Well, yes. Okay. And now David set the appointment, is running over there this afternoon. Right, but what are most agents going to do? They're going to they're afraid to ask
They're going to humor that conversation all day long because they don't want to piss the guy out. They won't just cut to the chase and be like, what is your goal? What are you trying to
I
accomplish?
think even David, though, who we know is not afraid to be aggressive on the phones, even self-admittedly, sat there and listened to her 45 minutes. Like that is an exceptionally long time to let somebody just walk your ass through a spreadsheet, right? And until he finally got to the point where you were talking about the pain of listening to this any longer is like I'm past the commission check at this point. Like I'm more taking this as like a personal battle to figure out when the is
Yeah,
even
I'm
going
just
on.
trying to understand your crazy mind, right? And I don't even care if we do a deal together.
Yeah, ultimately, he wanted some super heavily discounted commission. And I said, I'm not going to do that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it.
We got to run that
Yeah.
back. I think somebody did say shit right before we talked about
No, it was
not cussing.
Kelderman,
Oh.
and then you said it.
And then I said it.
Yeah, y'all both said shit, and I was like, "Wait,
That's barely even a cuss word.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't even count anymore. It's like TV over the years. You can like call someone a bitch on television now. That doesn't even phase the
Bro,
FCC.
we're watching movies as a family every night, and we're like jumping into like big series like X-Men and like Transformers stuff. They cuss an obscene amount in the old Transformers, like the old ones, but like the Shia LaBeouf ones.
Yeah.
Like there's F's and all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
in there. I'm like, what is happening?
And it's
Dude.
PG-13, right?
I know.
I'll be honest, even on my calls, I was making calls with David today, and this dude's like, I was like, hey, going through some old leads, and I was like, hey, at one time we talked, and you were looking at buying some property. He's like, I've already bought 4, and I'm like, well, shit, man, you didn't buy them through me, and just kept them on the line.
That's
and kept
exactly
going.
what Nick said, actually.
Yeah,
It's hysterical.
I was like, look, I'm not going to waste my time making phone calls. If you bought 4 properties not through me, I need to figure out where did I go wrong.
I do press that. I press that button every once in a while just to see, because I'm obviously infinitely more comfortable with people that are of that mindset,
Right.
anyways. So every once in a while, I'll just drop like a little light cuss word in there to see how they react, and if they cuss back, I'm like, sweet.
I think you keep it even more real if you cuss.
I
Absolutely.
think so.
100%.
And I think you can
And there are
always-
people who will not
And I
work
think-
with you
I
because
think they
of that.
respect
Yeah.
it, too.
I
Yeah.
feel like you can tell from people's tone whether or not they're cool with cussing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have a vibe about
I
it.
used to have where people, when I would run appointments, and they would drop curse words and I would, I think they were baiting me to do it, and I never crossed that line because I was so afraid of looking unprofessional.
Yeah.
Right? Where, it was, and now it's just like, look, it is what it is. Like, we're all real people.
Yeah.
There's usually some point where I'm going to be frustrated enough in this relationship where you're going to see it anyway. So let's just get 100%. That shit out on Front Street.
Yeah, if we do business together, there's a zero chance we get to an end of a transaction, and you've never heard me swear.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen.
So how do we, as we continue, ask Matt about the phone call with the guy who tried to prank him and he messed with him?
Oh yeah, that one was pretty ridiculous. That one was recorded. That's not super safe for a podcast because he was going in about a whole lot of segs type of stuff, and I was just like, oh man, that sounds awesome. Like, how much did you make? And like, you can afford a down payment with that. And like,
that was a good one. Oh, the guy that was saying he's a male stripper.
Yeah, it was a male stripper. By the end of it, it was off the rails, and I was just like,
where's that? Where do you work so I can avoid that location?
Yeah, there's no words I'm afraid of, but like, I was definitely like, it was outside the boundary of a business call at that point.
You're like, look, I'll come. I like to support small business owners. Where do you work?
Yeah, right.
And then I'll bring the paperwork to sign.
He was cracking up, dude. He was cracking up.
That would be the toughest one. Being a teacher, like Katie said, I could not. One, I don't really like children. That's not true. I don't like kids. I don't like 13.
I don't want a class of 30 of them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I like you guys as kids. I don't like just random kids I don't know.
I don't think many people
to learn
do.
from me. Yeah.
Do they?
So, I mean, teachers, I guess, they have a passion for teaching. I mean, that's the thing.
Sure.
I don't have a passion
I think
for
you have to
molding
be,
young
man,
minds.
because like my mom, she's like every year more and more kids go into her classroom.
Yeah.
Like
really?
yeah, 100%.
Some people, that's just perfect
Because
for
she's a good teacher and she likes it?
No,
or
I think there's just not enough teachers to go around.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's fair. But, man, trying not to curse in front of those kids for 9 straight months.
Should teachers get paid more if they have to go over a certain threshold?
I think they should get paid less just to see who really wants it.
The hottest sports opinion on the show in months.
Your wife is going to kill me.
Oh my god!
All right, let's
Get him,
all
Katie.
right, back to the stock value,
Yeah.
right? So, so at right now, there's only a finite time frame left on how long we have our stock value.
Sure.
Right? Because ultimately, as we work and navigate through this shifting market, then death is coming from Katie. As we're shifting through this market, eventually we sway back to the other side.
Yeah.
And so, it's just like the beginning of COVID, our stock value was high, then it wasn't. Right now it's high, and in the not so distant future it'll be low. Maybe there will be some technology that comes out that disrupts us again. Maybe the iBuyers come back a little bit better because they can go get properties cheaper. They can buy guaranteed.
I mean, the AI combination with iBuyers is probably the next loop in this thing.
Chatbot type of stuff.
Cash offer,
Getting people to the bottom
on
of the
spot,
funnel.
Send you the contract right away.
Because that's one of the things we talk about AI is the people who really need to be the most scared of AI are people who make their money just writing contracts, right? Like contract lawyers, those types of things. Like AI, that seems like that's right up their alley.
Michigan
to be able to do.
And Iowa, of all places,
Nice.
there are experimenting. I don't know if you can
Corn
pull this up.
contracts?
Yeah, corn. That's what I was thinking with Iowa. It seems so random, but like just recording abstracts on blockchain.
Yeah.
Right, and then they get a lawyer's attorney opinion letter to just verify it, which takes 30 seconds. So you've just cut out like so much of the escrow process.
You talk about the pendulum swinging, and maybe it does in markets like interest rates and people's interests and stuff. But I've been licensed for a smidge over a decade now, and like this is the first what feels like seller's market to me in the sense that interest rates are high enough to chase buyers off, right? There's a lot of people who just won't even call an agent in this market.
You mean
right?
buyer's market?
No, I'm saying I'm telling you like taking listings right now.
Yeah.
It's not a selling market. I'm saying if you wanted to ever start taking listings and
Yes.
becoming a listing agent, this is the market to do that in.
Yeah.
Right? From the standpoint of like being able to explain to your people the process is going to take 45 to 60 days. Being able to price it accordingly up front or figure out how to work in price adjustments based off whatever their goals are, right? Making sure that you're checking all of the boxes for them over those 45 to 60 days because they're going to expect you to be doing something other than put a fucking sign in the yard, right? Like this market will make you a really great
gonna
listing
make you or break
agent
you.
if you want to go out and take listings right now.
Sure.
And and if you are really super light on buyers because you're struggling with the interest rate conversation, okay, fine. Go take listings. Like become a really good listing
You know what
agent
concerns
right
me though is that if you're struggling to work with buyers because of the interest rate conversation, even though you go take listings, I want to have a good listing agent that understands how to negotiate and navigate.
Because you know what the conversation's supposed to look
interest
like.
rate conversation should be so that I can work a potential buyer that's on the hook a lot sooner than maybe we let that one go because I didn't know how to have that conversation, that buyer or that agent, and now we're sitting another 45, 60 days, and let's say that seller was truly in a desperate situation to sell, and maybe I've just cost them maybe it screws a sale up altogether. Maybe it puts them in an even worse off financial spot because the longer it takes to sell, we're going to sell for
Can we be honest about that though? Isn't that the learning curve of real estate? Like, and like we all don't want to admit this, but didn't everybody have to learn on some clients? And I'm saying, like, if you were ever going to go take listings and you're not on a team and you have no intention of joining a team, I think you should go join a team if you don't know what you're doing, right? Like, if we're talking being practical, I think that's what you should do. But if you're just not going to do that, this is a market where you can go out and you can focus on sellers and have conversations with people. And let's say you don't sell the house. I'm not an advocate for not being able to do your job effectively. But the reality is we've all had listings that have fallen apart. We have all misadvised clients. We've all had to write checks for shit we fucked up. Right? Like, this is a market to go out and learn how to be a much better listing agent, definitely than the past 2.5, 3 years, because that's been impossible. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I think ultimately I believe in number one, if you don't know what you're doing, join a team. Even if you do know what you're doing, join a team. Like, I believe that the leverage piece is going to, number one, it's going to help grow that consistency and that help you with time over task and everything else like that. But it's a whole different conversation. But ultimately, the way I see it is, like, most of these agents are not pouring into themselves. There's so much free education out there that they can go and learn. Like, when it comes to interest rate buy-downs, I'll give you another perfect example of this. We have a listing that is on the market, and for whatever reason, it's just taking a little while longer to sell. In that neighborhood, they're not selling that quickly. We're having a ton of showings on it. And so we're now starting to experience the buyers that are coming out that are trying to circumvent a buyer's agent, go directly to the listing agent and try to cut out the supposed buyer's agent commission. And so there was a lender who reached out, who I guess that had done a transaction with somebody, whether myself or someone on the team in the past. Like, man, I would love to work with you guys again. I'm actually the buyer. I said, awesome, great. We love working with lenders because they're going to know what to do when it comes to representing themselves on the lending side to make deals work.
You'd think.
Right? Well, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And so we dropped everything. We ended up showing that client that same day. He wants to make that lender wanted to make an offer on it, and he's like, I want to cut the buyer's agent out. I'm like, bro, that's not how this works. And you're a lender, you definitely should really work with real estate agents.
Some doctors still smoke cigarettes.
Yes, that's who feeds you a lot of, probably all your business. And so I was like, look, Mr. Buyer/lender, why don't you do a 3-2-1 buy down? He's like, I forgot about that. I'm like, I was like, okay, the 3-2-1 buy down, by the way, if you don't know what that is where you ask the seller to contribute X amount of money towards the closing costs, so seller concessions, and that buyer gives it to the lender. The lender uses it to buy the interest rate down over a short period of time, so that in year one, it's going to be about 3 points lower than what the current interest rate is. Year two, it's going to go up by 1%. In year three, it's going to go up to another, and then at the end of year three, it's going to go to whatever today's rate is. Yep. Not that future rate, but today's rate. Right. And so I was like, bro, you can save a lot. By that time, you can refinance it. We'll find a way to work out a good opportunity. He's like, okay, yeah, let's look at that. And so he submits an offer and says, I'm coming in at this because I want the buyer's agent commission gone. And he came in low, plus he asked for 6% seller's concession. Yeah. Like, it's just not going to work. Yeah. This dude goes and rings the Ring doorbell and proceeds to talk to the sellers.
Jeez.
And says, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And luckily the sellers didn't listen, and he offended them with a lowball offer. But even the lenders don't understand how to make deals work because they're all not educating themselves on how to solve problems and to come together and find the best win-win scenario for buyer and seller.
It's that negotiation thought process. It's the win-win negotiation thought process where everything breaks, because it's people naturally, and we all know this, and we've heard this in training for years, people naturally negotiate towards a win-lose. Yes. Like, if I am giving you anything, that means I am losing something, right. Therefore I need it all.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of looking at it as, I can get this house, they can get the money they want to move on to the next phase of their life, and everybody can move forward feeling good about this transaction. And when you have an agent on the other side, I dealt with this on some buyers I actually lost, right? I lost them for a different reason because I wouldn't go show them on a Sunday after showing them like 45 houses. They were very polite about firing me. Right, but it's like they were like, we really appreciate you showing us all these houses. And I told them, I told him straight up, I was like, bro, I don't really have anything like positive to say about this, so I'm just gonna let you go. And I hung up on his ass. I was like, you kiss my ass, dude. So, but before we were under contract on a house for them, and the other agent on the other side was, I mean, the reason the deal didn't go through. He had his seller's ear 100%. Right, advising her from the standpoint of like his personal opinion. He's out there he's that agent who's doing repairs to the house, listing to get it sold. Which, like, look, I can appreciate. I want to be super real with people. I can appreciate agents who go over, will pull weeds and do some stuff around the house to get it ready for the market. I can appreciate that. And I'm not even saying you're not necessarily a busy agent if you're doing that. I can tell you you're way too invested in that commission check if you're doing that, though. And that probably makes you not the best fiduciary.
Correct.
Because if you had enough commission checks coming in, you would not be over there digging trenches and putting down plastic under the landscaping and doing shit like that. You would pay somebody to do it. I'm not saying you make it the client's problem, but you would figure out a way to get that done, and it wouldn't be you over there doing it.
Because the minute someone bitches about the landscaping looking off, curb appeal's not looking good, and the listing
Let me go
agent
and fix it.
then-
Let me go and fix it.
Yeah, then takes offense.
Yeah,
to
you know
it.
what year one Matt did? He used to pull weeds from people's like in between their steps before listing photos. That's a great level of service, but you're also telling me a lot about business. Anyways, this agent had the seller's ear, was walking the deal backwards every step of the way, right? And then proceeded to then after we get done, they're not disclosing all the inspection reports they have to the new buyers, and that stuff never went online. So there's even agents out there who are going to be detrimental to their clients getting it done. I say all this to say that you're right about people not educating themselves at all, because there are seasoned agents out there who are still so emotionally attached to the transaction or the commission check that they're actively blowing up their own deals.
100. Yeah, no, 100%. Like, David, walk us through, because this is something you do at a high level, right? And when you get to the closing table, what you will interview your clients right there. And stories help sell,
Yep.
right? Because it's not coming to you from you; it's now third-party edification.
Yep.
And so you're now having your clients walk. They're walking you through the story and saying what their experience was, and navigating that process. How has that been for your business?
It gives you that edification, right? Of just basically. I tell them in the beginning, like, look, guys, I'm going to do a really, really good job for you in the beginning, and this is what I would expect and appreciate, right? So they already know that they're going to do it right. I'm not catching them off guard, right? It's not like I pop up with the camera at the closing and they're like, hey, oh, camera time. But, here's the thing. I believe that we're not selling any sort of product, right? But we're selling a reputation. We're selling a service, right? And I hold that very, very true and dear. Like, I've got a super passion for this business, and because of that, I really want to do a really, really good job for my clients. So, I mean, and I know that because I know that I'm going to try to ask for that testimonial at the end, right? And so, like, I make sure that I bust my ass, do a really, really good job for them, right? So they can ask, so they can have that opportunity to ask for that video, right? And if they feel like you did a great job, they're going to do it, right? They're going to value and appreciate you, right? And I mean, that video, that testimonial goes a long way because now I don't have to sell myself. Now I've got my clients, selling myself for me, right? But it's their words. It's not mine.
Yeah.
Right.
And that can help you. Like Katie said, Katie made a comment. People do not think that that a win-win is possible. They are trained in win-lose forever and cannot fathom that there are scenarios where everyone can walk away happy. And in this market right now, you can look at and see, like a perfect example. I had a client that they're relocated from up north, Brian's favorite state. Where's that, Brian?
Is that New York?
Yes.
Very cool.
Oh, you won. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I win the game.
You win a prize. So they relocated from New York, and they'd bought several houses, and typically they like to come in a little bit lower and be aggressive. They like to negotiate, and so we're looking at scenarios, and one of the scenarios was come in really low. The other one was, how about we come in near their asking price, but ask for a certain amount in seller concessions and buy the rate down. And they had never heard of that. So what we did is we got on with Mortgage Mike, so mmgloans.com. Mortgage Mike did an amazing job. I believe, and not just because he's a sponsor of this show, I believe that Mortgage Mike is probably one of the well-versed experts when it comes to interest rate buydowns and understanding how to really make it digestible to understand, not just for the agent, but also for the client, because that's the most important part.
For sure.
And so as they went through that process, they saw that, hey, it's actually more advantageous for the buyer and it's better for the seller if we came in near asking price, asked for, it ended up at only, I think it was like $10,000 in seller concessions. Yeah, it was $10,000 in seller concessions. And they bought their rate down, and it was like them getting the property for $372,000.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's awesome.
Where they were originally going to offer somewhere right closer to $390 to $399. So who wins in this? The buyer wins because their payment is actually based on a strategy of like they bought the house for $372. So they win on that. And the seller wins because ultimately they came off their asking price about $15,000. Originally, our client was going to come in somewhere in the $390 mark. So they're actually they made about $16,000 more than they would have. So it's that win-win scenario. They jumped on it immediately. Yep. And that's where the stock value as agents are, to understand that process and to educate the clients.
I think it's going to take a lot more work in this market right now. Some things that I've been having luck with is basically like telling the buyer, like, hey man, like if I can show you this on how I can get your desired monthly payment, would you be open to seeing that? Of course. Okay, great. Let's hop on a quick 15-minute Zoom call with my lender and have the lender, because I believe showing is better than telling, right? Like have Michael, the backer, of course, the best lender in the world, show them exactly what they need to do to get that desired monthly payment, and go say, listen guys, we need a 2-1 buy down. We need this much closing costs from the seller. Let me go fight for you to get this, get you this goal, exactly what you're looking to buy.
Yeah,
that's how you solve problems.
Yeah. So I mean, that's where we're all 4 of us are going to be able to stay here and not worry about our future AI host of the show replacing us altogether. Because I don't think they could explain it better than us. I truly believe that.
If AI took this over, they would plan it longer than we did, which would screw it all up. They'd like the day before they'd start playing.
They try
the
to
show.
make it good.
Yeah,
but then that's not really the AI version of us, because AI version should be doing this about 5 minutes before the show starts.
Yes.
And it needs to have some form of it going off the rails for a little bit. And then we pull it back in. We package it up very nicely. We ask for someone to go leave us a review. We ask for you to go to the only real estate group worth being a part of. And then we ask for you to go support our sponsors. I don't think AI could do that yet.
They could definitely not.
I don't think it could ever do that, because we believe that we're the best hosts of any real estate podcast show out there.
Why is it named this?
Exactly.
If we didn't. All right, boys. That's 43 minutes and 53 seconds.
Oh, Kelderman's done.
No, I'm just
He's
kidding.
got something else to do.
I really don't. I'm going to Oklahoma on Friday, and I'm going to go to Broken Bow for 4 days. And I'm driving to Durango next month. It's like 13 hours.
Yeah, that's a long one.
It's pretty, though.
Yeah. You're leaving. You should be leaving right now, because yesterday was 106, today's 105.
Dude, what is going on? Is the world getting hotter?
Today was like the hottest day.
It is stupid.
Like in history?
Wait, no.
Something like that.
That's fake
It was a
news.
meme from Dallas, Texas TV. Do you guys follow them?
No. Look, I will say, I'm sure climate change and all that stuff, yes. But do you remember back it was like almost 10 years ago when we had like 62 days of straight 100-degree weather?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we haven't had one of those in over 10 years.
It was like the whole month of July and early August.
Yes. It was really bad.
Yeah.
And
Climate change is a political conversation.
It is. And we have, I think, a cold front's coming in next week, so it's all good.
Is
It's gonna
it?
be like,
That's-
it's gonna be
we
like
saw that on the
92.
news.
What do you guys think about climate change?
I think
Anybody want to die in the hills right now?
I'll die on the hill of people who sit in front of cars and block people from getting to work. Those assholes can take a walk.
That's getting
Yeah.
bad right now. That's all that on the Dallas.
Yeah, dude, I get it, but like your target demographic is not other people of your ilk trying to get to
Yeah.
work, and you're blocking them from
Let
that.
me ask you
That's
this, Brian.
And who's the unrelenting asshole who you drag out of the street and then they butt crawl back into it like a dick with their little sign to sit back in front of your car, knowing that murder is my only option to get to work?
That is true. Are they doing that about climate change right
Bro,
now?
they're doing it all over the UK.
Do you believe-
And I think it's happening here.
Do you
too.
believe that governments can control the weather?
Oh, they already do it in Dubai. They make it rain
Yeah,
in Dubai
it's
every
called
day.
the heart.
They shoot something up in the air and it makes it rain in Dubai. It already exists.
I don't know if that's the weather though. Like that's the you mean
If
like
you
the
can make it
actual weather.
rain in Dubai, in my book, you have controlled said weather.
No, for sure. Like it's. I mean, like that's shooting something up into the air, and then I think you're talking about like the actual clouds. Like, can you actually control like storm systems and stuff?
Yes.
I don't. I think a lot of conspiracy theories are probably true. A lot of them are. I also think
Which
that,
ones do you believe that are true?
Well,
Let's look at
one,
them.
Kennedy was not assassinated by a lone gunman.
That's next week's show.
Yeah, we can do a whole thing on him. 9/11 was done by terrorists, by the way. I will die on that hill. But there's a lot more to it.
Pyramids are super old.
Yes.
Way older than we think.
That's maybe, I don't know, right? We're definitely not alone, right? That's just self-righteous. If you think of all the planets in this universe that we're the only one with humans or something like that. Anyway, I'm not going to go down these rabbit holes. What I'm saying is that I think most conspiracy theories that are true eventually become kind of common sense because it's too hard to keep things quiet. If governments were controlling the weather, I think we'd find out about it eventually. Like the UFO thing and stuff, it's probably mostly true. It's just now coming out. Shit comes out, dude. People can't keep their fucking mouth shut.
Yeah.
That's the thing. For a long time.
Deathbed confessions.
Yeah.
We gotta wait for all the people who know shit to die.
They can't keep their mouths shut long enough, dude.
Yeah.
Stuff comes out.
What I'll say is
I want to know Nick's hot take.
I do have some. I won't share them here. You'll have to reach out to me, and let's set up a time to drink some bourbon, smoke some cigars over that. But I do believe a lot of what Brian's talking about is I definitely believe in a lot of that stuff. What DB believes in, a little out there.
No.
Swear to God, if you're a flat earther, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you.
He's not a flat earther. No.
You got to reach out to me so smoke some bourbon.
I want to
right.
know. I want to smoke
Speaking-
some bourbon.
Yeah. Me and DB we'll sit there together with some bourbon and cigars. And we'll
By the way,
we'll
how's
share.
that? How's that Israeli bourbon?
It was all right.
Just all right.
I won't. I will say that I'm not going to Israel just to drink.
I
their
traveled
bourbon.
That's right. How was it?
6,500 miles to
To bring
Israel,
you back some bourbon.
and I brought him back some bourbon, and it was just all right.
And he went and snagged some Buffalo Trace.
Yeah. And it was like, thanks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He snagged some bourbon that I'd been mowed $120 for.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
was
Well,
one-
he
that was
still he went to
112,
pick it
okay.
up.
Yeah.
He still had to get through customs with it, bro.
Yeah.
That's an
dude.
ass whip.
Ask him how he did it.
Put it in his shorts.
Yes. All right. Next week's show, 193. We will be talking about Kelderman.
Yeah, because I won't be here. No. Yes.
Wait, you're
I'm
not
here
here?
next week. Yeah. No, I'm not here for a couple weeks. I'm here for a couple weeks. I don't know.
I mean, how are we going to get to 200?
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed like the second week of August or something.
All of it?
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
When does school start?
The second week of August or the third. I don't know.
Yeah.
We got 4 kids in 3 different school districts. I never know what's happening. I just go to where I'm told.
Yeah. I hear you.
All right, Jesse, I'm done with the show.
Yeah. Get us out of here.
Bye.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group we're being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one.